Sometimes what looks like the end of your story is really just the start of a better chapter. But the problem is, we can only see one page at a time while Allah sees the whole book. And here's what's even more profound. Sometimes Allah delays what you're asking for because He wants to give you something even better later. And sometimes He closes one door because He knows what's behind it would have harmed you. And sometimes He leaves you in the middle of a test for longer than you expected because He loves the sound of your voice calling out to Him and doesn't want you to stop. When you look back on your life, you'll realize that some of the things you thought were the worst moments actually became the turning points you needed most. You'll realize that the pain you felt years ago led you to where you are now, stronger, wiser, closer to Him. So imagine how you look back one day on the hardship you're going through today. This is why the Prophet, peace be upon him, taught us, wondrous is the affair of the believer because everything that happens to him is good. If something good happens, he is grateful and it is good for him. If something bad happens, he is patient and it is good for him. This is the secret of peace, to know that whatever happens, you cannot lose. So stop thinking that this pain means you're failing. Stop believing the whispers that say you're cursed or forgotten. And stop assuming that because you can't see the way out, there isn't one. Your job is not to have it all figured out. Your job is simply to keep walking, even in the dark, knowing that the one who guides the stars through the night sky is the same. One who will guide you to where you're meant to be. This is what tawakkul, trust in Allah, really means. Not pretending everything is fine. Not denying your feelings, but choosing, despite your feelings, to believe that your Lord knows what He's doing and that His plan for you is more perfect than you can imagine, even when it doesn't make sense yet, even when it still hurts, even when you feel like giving up. That is when trust matters most, not when it's easy, but when it's hard. One of the most misunderstood truths about hardship is this: it is often the greatest sign of Allah's love for you. I know that may be hard to believe when you're the one feeling crushed under the weight of your own sadness. You might wonder, how could this pain, this loss, this loneliness possibly mean that Allah loves me? But the answer lies in understanding what real love is and what it does for the one being loved. You see, when Allah loves a person, He wants what's best for them, not just in this fleeting world, but for eternity. And sometimes what is best for you is not ease. Sometimes what is best for you is a storm strong enough to wake you up, shake your heart, and remind you of the very purpose of your existence. When you're comfortable, when life is smooth and easy, it becomes so easy to forget. You forget who gave you those blessings. You forget how much you need Him. You start to think you can manage on your own. But Allah loves you too much to let you drift away in your own forgetfulness. So He sends you something, a test, a heartbreak, a moment of weakness, not to harm you, but to guide you back to Him before it's too late. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, told us clearly, when Allah loves a servant, He tests him. And when someone asked, even if he is a righteous believer, He replied, the most severely tested are the prophets, then those closest to them, and then those closest to them in righteousness. Think about that. The prophets, the most beloved of all humanity to Allah, were tested more than anyone else. They faced rejection, humiliation, loss of loved ones, poverty, exile, even threats to their lives. And yet they never doubted His love, because they understood these tests were raising them, cleansing them, bringing them closer to Allah, and elevating their ranks in ways that comfort never could. So, if you are being tested right now, don't assume it means you've failed. Don't believe that it's because you're too sinful or unworthy. It may very well be the opposite. It may mean that Allah loves you too much to leave you as you are. He wants to purify you of your mistakes. He wants to strengthen your heart and prepare you for something greater. He wants to make you among those who turn to Him constantly, because those who remember Him in difficulty are dearer to Him than those who forget Him in ease. The truth is, Allah's love doesn't always feel like comfort. Sometimes His love feels like loss. Sometimes it feels like tears. But only because He is saving you from something worse, or giving you something better, or protecting you from a path that would have led you far away from Him. So, the next time you feel abandoned, try to remind yourself, this test might actually be proof that I matter to Him, that He has not given up on me, that He still sees potential in me, and that He wants to hear my voice calling His name, even if it's through my tears. The pain you're feeling now may very well be the rope He's using to pull you closer. And in the end, you will realize it was His love all along. One of the most comforting truths in our faith is this: not a single ounce of pain you feel is ever wasted. Not a single tear that falls from your eye, not a single sigh you let out in the quiet of the night, not a single heartbeat of worry passes unnoticed. Allah is more aware of your suffering than even you are. When you're in the middle of hardship, it can feel pointless. You may find yourself thinking, what is the purpose of all of this? Why should I keep trying when nothing seems to change? Why keep going when it all feels so heavy? But the reality is that every moment of pain you endure patiently is recorded. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, no Muslim is afflicted with harm, even if it were the prick of a thorn, but that Allah expiates his sins because of it, as a tree sheds its leaves. Even something as small as the sting of a thorn wipes away sins. Now imagine what the loss you're carrying right now is doing for you. Imagine how many of your mistakes are being erased each time you weep silently into your pillow and whisper your pain to Allah. Imagine how your rank is being raised with every sleepless night you spend still trying to hold on to your faith. Your pain is not just a test, it is also a purification. It is Allah's way of cleaning your record, so that when you stand before Him one day, your scale of good deeds is heavier than you ever thought possible. And if you could see what He was preparing for you, both in this world and the next, you would understand why you had to carry this weight for a little while longer. Sometimes you might feel invisible, like nobody notices how much you're struggling. And perhaps in the eyes of this world, you really are invisible. But to Allah, you have never been more visible. In fact, you are never closer to Him than when your heart is broken and your forehead is pressed to the ground in prayer, asking Him to mend what no one else can. Even the pain you cannot express, even the thoughts you are too ashamed to say out loud, Allah knows them. And He rewards you for enduring them. You may feel like your hardship is holding you back from living your life, but in reality, it is pushing you forward in ways you cannot yet see. Because what you gain through hardship, patience, humility, dependence on Allah cannot be gained through ease. When you finally look back, you will realize nothing was in vain. The sleepless nights, the heartbreak, the waiting, the confusion, it was all planting seeds for a harvest you'll reap when the time is right. And on the day of judgment, when others wish they had endured more patiently, you will be grateful you didn't give up. So keep going. Even if you feel like your steps are small and clumsy, even if you feel like nothing is changing, because nothing you're going through is wasted with Allah. It is all counted. It is all recorded. And it will all come back to you in ways more beautiful than you could imagine. There is something remarkable about the nature of the human heart. Even in the deepest darkness, it keeps searching for light. Even when it feels surrounded by hopelessness, it clings to the faintest possibility that things can get better. And this is no accident. This is how Allah created you, with an instinct to turn back to Him no matter how far you've fallen. The world can feel so heavy sometimes. You might wake up in the morning already exhausted, already dreading another day. You might go to bed at night feeling like nothing you did today really mattered. And you start to wonder if you'll ever feel joy again, or if you'll ever see the light you've been praying for. But here is what you need to know. No matter how thick thick the darkness seems around you, it cannot put out the light of Allah's mercy. It cannot overpower His ability to guide you back. Even if your heart feels like it's buried under layers of sadness and sin, the spark is still there, and it only takes one sincere moment of turning to Him for it to catch fire again. Have you ever noticed how the night feels darkest right before dawn? That is how your hardship works too. Sometimes Allah lets you reach your lowest point, not to break you, but to show you that He is the only one who can lift you up. And when you realize that He has been the light in your darkness all along, that's when everything begins to change. The Quran tells us so beautifully, with hardship comes ease. And notice it doesn't say after hardship comes ease, but with it. This means the light is already there. Even if you can't see it yet, it is there, hidden in the very hardship you're facing now. It may come in the form of a kind word from someone you didn't expect. It may come as a sudden moment of clarity when you realize that you are stronger than you thought. It may come as an unexpected opportunity, or simply a moment of peace in the middle of the chaos. But you have to keep your eyes open to find it. Because the more you focus only on what you've lost, the harder it is to see what Allah is still giving you. Start noticing the small mercies. The fact that you woke up this morning while others didn't. The fact that you still have the ability to turn to Him while others have forgotten how. The fact that no matter how far you feel you've strayed, the door of His forgiveness has not been shut. This is how you find light in the darkness, not by waiting for your life to become perfect, but by seeing the blessings He has already placed along your path. Step by step, you begin to realize that even the darkness has a purpose, because it makes the light shine that much brighter when it finally comes. And when it does, you will know without a doubt that Allah was with you all along. If there is one quality that can carry you through the storms of life, it is sabr, patience. Patience does not mean that you never feel sad or frustrated. It does not mean you never cry or question why something is happening to you. Rather, patience means you choose not to let those feelings push you away from Allah. It means you keep going even when everything inside you is telling you to stop. You see, sabr is not passive, it is active. It is a conscious decision you make every day to trust the process, to keep showing up, and to wait for Allah's timing even when you don't understand it. Think of the farmer who plants his seeds. He works the soil, he waters it, he protects it from harm, and then he waits. He cannot force the seed to grow overnight. He cannot rush the harvest. But he trusts that something is happening beneath the surface even when he cannot see it yet. That is exactly what sabr looks like in your heart. Even when your dua seems unanswered, even when your pain feels endless, even when others around you seem to be moving forward while you feel stuck, you stay the course because you believe that Allah's timing is perfect. And you believe that no effort you make for His sake is ever lost. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "No fatigue, no disease, no sorrow, no sadness, no hurt, no distress befalls a Muslim, even if it were the prick he receives from a thorn, but that Allah expiates some of his sins for that." This means even the smallest pain you endure is not for nothing. So imagine the reward for holding on patiently through the kind of hardship you are facing now. But patience is not just about waiting. It is about how you wait. Do you spend your waiting complaining and despairing? Or do you spend it in prayer, in gratitude for what you still have, in quiet trust that Allah knows what you do not? The Quran reminds us again and again, indeed, Allah is with the patient. This means He is right there with you, closer than you can imagine, when you choose patience over panic, trust over anger, faith over fear. You don't have to see the finish line to keep running your race. You don't have to see the light at the end of the tunnel to keep moving forward. You simply have to believe that the one who brought you to this test will also bring you through it at exactly the right moment. And when that moment comes, when you finally see the wisdom behind your struggle, you will realize that sabr was never just about enduring hardship. It was about building you into someone stronger, wiser, and closer to your Lord than you ever thought you could be. So keep holding on, even if your steps feel small, even if you feel tired, because every moment of patience is bringing you closer to the relief you've been praying for. And when it comes, you will know it was worth every tear, every sleepless night, every silent prayer. It's hard to imagine when you're in the middle of a storm what life might look like on the other side of it. When the sky above you is dark, when the winds are strong and unrelenting, when it feels like you can barely keep your head above water, it's easy to believe the storm will never end. But here's the truth. No storm lasts forever. No night stays dark forever. And no pain, no matter how deep it feels now, remains the same forever. Allah has written seasons into your life, just as He has written seasons into His creation. Winter always gives way to spring. The barren tree eventually blossoms again. The cold earth softens and brings forth life once more. And the same is true for your heart. What you are going through right now, the sadness, the grief, the confusion, is a winter for your soul. But just as surely as Allah brings the morning after the night, He will bring renewal to your heart. You may not know when or how, but it will come. And here is something beautiful to reflect on. Sometimes it is not about getting back what you lost. It is about becoming someone new through the process of loss. Someone wiser, stronger, and more grateful than before. You see, every hardship you endure leaves something behind. It may leave behind a lesson you could not have learnt otherwise. It may leave behind a strength you didn't know you had. It may leave behind a closeness to Allah you never experienced before. And when that storm finally passes and you will feel something shift inside you. You'll notice that the tears have stopped coming so easily. You'll feel a calmness in your chest where there was once only heaviness. You'll look back on all the nights you thought you wouldn't make it through and realize that you did. And more than that, you'll realize you were never really alone through any of it. The Quran reminds us, indeed with hardship comes ease. Not ease that comes someday in the far future, but ease that is with the hardship itself woven into it in ways you may not have recognized at the time. Sometimes that ease comes in small ways. A kind word from someone who cares, a quiet moment of clarity in your prayer, an unexpected opportunity, or even just the strength to keep going one more day. And over time, those small mercies build into something greater. They become your spring after the long winter. They become your light after the darkness. They become the proof that Allah's promise is always true. When you finally stand on the other side of the storm, you'll see what it was all for. You'll see how every gust of wind pushed you closer to Him. You'll see how every wave of pain taught you to rely on Him and no one else. And you'll see how the person you became because of the storm is far greater than the person you were before it. So don't fear the storm. Don't resent it, because on the other side of it, you'll find a version of yourself and a closeness to Allah that you never thought possible. One of the greatest challenges you will face in your journey of faith is not how to hold on to Allah during the storm, but how to stay close to Him when the skies are clear again. Because you see, hardship often brings us to our knees. It makes us humble. It makes us turn back to Allah. It makes us feel just how much we depend on Him. But ease has a way of making us forget. How many of us have cried desperately to Allah in the middle of the night, begging Him for help? And then when relief finally came, we got caught up in the joy of our blessings and slowly drifted back to old habits? How many of us have felt closest to Allah when our hearts were broken, only to find ourselves distant when life felt good again? This is human nature, but it is also a test. The test of hardship is patience, but the test of ease is gratitude. So when Allah finally brings you through your storm, When the pain begins to ease and the heaviness lifts from your heart, don't forget who carried you through it. Don't forget who never abandoned you when everyone else did. Don't forget who gave you the strength to endure what you thought you couldn't. Staying connected to Allah after relief comes means recognizing that your need for Him never ends. Just because you feel at peace now doesn't mean you can do without Him. In fact, the moments of ease and comfort are when you need Him most to keep your heart humble, to keep your blessings safe, and to keep you guided on the right path. Make gratitude your habit. Thank Him not just for the big blessings, the answered prayers, the new opportunities, the relief, but also for the little things you may have overlooked. Thank Him for the strength He gave you when you thought you couldn't go on. Thank Him for the lessons you learned through your pain. Thank Him for the chance to come out of your hardship closer to Him than before. And remember, gratitude is not just something you say with your tongue, it is something you show with your actions. Keep praying, even when you feel happy. Keep remembering Him, even when your heart feels light. Keep giving, even when your hands are full. And keep turning back to Him every single day, because no matter how much ease you find in this world, your ultimate peace is still with Him. There is a beautiful wisdom in this. Allah doesn't just want you to call on Him in times of need. He wants to build a lasting relationship with you. One that stays strong in hardship and in ease. One that grows deeper no matter what life brings your way. Because true success is not just surviving the storm. True success is walking out of it with your faith intact and your heart still tied to the one who brought you through. One of the most beautiful things about going through your own hardship is that it softens your heart toward others. It gives you a kind of empathy and understanding that only comes from having lived through pain yourself. And once Allah has brought you through your own storm, one of the most meaningful ways to show gratitude is to become a source of comfort for someone else still caught in theirs. You see, your experience was not just for you. Your sleepless nights, your broken heart, your long prayers in the dark, all of it was also shaping you into someone who could reach back and help others find their way. There are people all around you right now who are quietly struggling. They may not say anything. They may even look like they have it all together on the outside. But inside, they're carrying burdens you can't see. And you, with your own scars, your own lessons, your own hard-earned strength, are in a unique position to be there for them. Sometimes it doesn't take much to change someone's day or even their life. A kind word, a listening ear, a simple prayer you make for them when they're not even aware. A reminder that they are not alone and that their pain has a purpose. Never underestimate the power of just showing up for someone, even in a small way. Because when you do, you are embodying the mercy and compassion that Allah loves to see in His servants. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, told us, whoever relieves a believer's distress of the distressful aspects of this world, Allah will rescue him from a difficulty of the difficulties of the hereafter. This means that every time you lighten someone else's load, even if only a little, you are securing ease for yourself in this world and the next. And helping others doesn't always mean having all the answers. It doesn't mean you need to fix their problems. Sometimes all it takes is letting them know you see their pain and reminding them that Allah sees it too. Sometimes it's just being there quietly while they cry. Sometimes it's gently steering them back to prayer when they feel too weak to pray for themselves. And as you help others, you'll find something amazing happens. Your own heart begins to heal in the process. Because serving others, lifting others is one of the most powerful ways to lift yourself. It reminds you that you are not alone in your struggle. It gives your pain a purpose beyond yourself. And it allows you to turn what was once your greatest weakness into your greatest strength. So don't hold back from offering whatever you can, even if all you can give right now is a sincere smile, a kind word, or a heartfelt dua. You never know whose life you might touch just by being there. And you never know how much Allah might reward you for every act of quiet compassion you show to His creation. One of the realities of life that we all have to come to terms with is this: hardship is not something you face only once. As long as you live, tests will continue to come your way. Some will be big, some will be small, and some may feel like they're too heavy to bear. But each one is an opportunity to prove to yourself, and more importantly to Allah, that you trust Him. The time between your tests is not just for you to relax and forget about everything you've learned.